Hello, this is Pastor Michael at the Dobson Baptist Church. I'm doing the Sunday afternoon recap live, mostly because if I do a recording, I will keep going back and doing it over and over again with every little mess up, and I just don't have time to do it. So I figure if I do it live, that's not really a possibility. Well, I guess it is, but that'd be bad. Anyhow, so today we're going to chat very briefly about what happened today at TBC. Pastor Kevin did a great job as always in the Q&R, question and response, where we kind of ask questions. I ask as many curveballs as I can to mess him up, and he handles them aptly, adroitly. And today he talked about the doctrine of soul sleep, right? And we kind of covered a balanced perspective on that doctrine. It was actually really cool. So that's on the website. You can check it out. It's always a little different when you're watching a live stream versus there in person. It should be different, right? That's not something we should apologize for. It's definitely different. But you can at least get the gist of what was talked about while we were hanging out together today. I taught out of Thessalonians. And so last week we did kind of a review on Thessalonians, and this week we started with 1 Thessalonians 1. We're in our series called Faithful. This series is divided up into 7 parts. Like I mentioned last week with our introduction, today we're talking about a portrait of faithful people, followed by faithful pastors, faithfulness in persecution, a sexually faithful church, faithfully waiting for a faithful God, and then living faithfully in a faithless world. The theme should be evident, faithfulness. Today, we talked about a portrait of faithful people. And so, as you may or may not remember, Paul's journey took him to Thessalonica, where he was able to evangelize, and then they chased him out of town and followed him out of town. It was messy. We talked briefly about the greeting that Paul wrote when he was writing this letter to the church at Thessalonica. It seemed very ornate and flowery. That was very common for the time. And then as Paul opens the letter, he lets them know he's thankful for them. And then he gives 3 traits that he finds exceptionally praiseworthy: work produced by faith, labor prompted by love, and endurance inspired by hope. We went through each one of these briefly, and you can catch that in our history on the Facebook page. And then Paul went on to talk about how it is very evident that they are elected or saved by the grace of God. And then he talks about some evidences of that. One is conviction. When he brought the good news to them, he brought it with conviction. When they received the good news, they received it with a similar conviction. In the words of Eugene Peterson in his work, The Message, he says, when the message we preached came to you, it wasn't just words, something happened in you. The Holy Spirit put steel in your convictions. And I love how Mr. Peterson wrote that. Next, we see cruciformity. Paul says, look, we lived among you for your benefit. And then in spite of severe persecution, you welcomed the message with joy from the Holy Spirit. And these believers embraced persecution just like Jesus. Next was commission. The chains in the Thessalonians wasn't one that could stay inside. All of their neighbors knew who they were, what they believed, not because of just the words they said, but how they lived. Then we see complete conversion. They turned from their idols to serve the true and living God. They didn't hold anything back from the king. When you really believe that you have a king who's in charge of your life, you don't hold anything back from him. Then this was one of our slides. We did the Lord's Supper today as a memorial, a remembering of Jesus and his sacrifice, as he specifically said, this do in remembrance of me. And so we did that today with this in mind. So 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, we covered this morning about being faithful. And that, of course, is the continuing theme of the letters to the Thessalonian church. And so I hope that if you don't have a church home and you live in the area or live nearby, that you'd be, I hope you would feel welcome to come and spend a Sunday morning with us. We would love to have you. We do lunch in the afternoon. It'd just be a wonderful time. And we're going to be in 2 Thessalonians right after this. So just similar and continuing theme as well. 5 minutes. That was insane. Normally these go longer. Apparently, I go shorter when I'm live, but that doesn't work because when I'm preaching, I sometimes go longer too. I don't know what it is. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a very nice afternoon with your family or whatever it is you're endeavoring to do. Get some rest. The work week begins again tomorrow. I love you.